This is a surprise guitar. Whenever the owner of this guitar gives me any guitars, I tell him not to tell me what's in them. But I think from the look on his face, this one's going to be a problem. So let me just check to see what is in it, to see if there's anything I need to look at. He did mention there's something in the pouch. Yeah, it's all empty there so far, but I do see something up there. Right, so what is here? What is here? A box of something? Chocolates? No, no. Thick strings, like bass strings. So it must be a bass. A guitar pitch pipe. Well, thank you very much. And also it has to be a bass guitar because it's got a bass plate. Oh, look, it's getting the clues are coming out, aren't they? So let's just see. A pitch pipe for a guitar, but a bass guitar. So it's a bass guitar. So what else is in here? Nothing. Right, okay. Let's open it up and see what joys we have. Where is it? Why do they hide the zips on guitars? Why do they do that? Just to fool me. Oh, here we are. Right, and this looks very small for a bass, doesn't it? But we'll see. Right, let's have a look. And yes, it's a bass. It's a bass. It's a K bass. An old K bass. I love this, you know, boom, 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 the rest of your fingers. All right. Oh, and what's this? Nah. A tremolo arm for a bass? I don't think so. I think that was just inside it. Okay, I'm going to pause now and then we'll have a closer look at this. Looks interesting. So I am a bit more knowledgeable now. It's a short scale K. I believe it's a 1966 according to the serial number. It's prone to have problems with the truss rod, but this one doesn't have those problems, I'm glad to say. It's a very thin body, SG shape, as you can see, and they're very well sought after still. Some of them are going for 250, 300 pounds, and this isn't what you would call in a lousy shape. I haven't figured this out, just how this works. Oh, hello, Georgia girl. Well, you know what happens when Georgia girl wants cuddles. I'm sorry. Anyway, what was I saying? It's a K. It's got a lot of original parts. Extremely clever little, simple and clever. You put the string in there, and I use a screw as an example, and it goes over the top, and that's the bridge, right? Now, you can adjust these screws to give you the angle you want to help with the intonation. This bar is already intonated slightly to allow the strings the distance between the 12th fret and there, but it also has little clever height adjusters there down at the bottom, screws that can adjust the height to give you your bridge up and down. So I think that's quite clever. There would have been a special little cover on this that would screw on there. Sort of dubious about putting that on it, although it does look it, but you're sort of ruining the novelty of the bass. You know, if we could find that other cover, which we wouldn't be able to find, we could do the whole thing that way. And the chappies give me these, and I could probably do these, but well, he'll have to give me instructions on what he wants, because these are little ones that can screw on there and come off, and then the bridge would be about there, and the string would go in there and over there, and I don't see, the height would be adjusted by those. Yeah, we'll see. My preference, that's a little bar for there. My preference, would be to keep it original, but if we can't get a little plate that looks like that, we could sort of use that, couldn't we? It means drilling 2 holes in it. What difference is that going? It's not going to make any difference. It's not going to make any difference. You're not going. If you drill 2 holes in it, yes, yes, yes. Actually, you can see the little marks there and there. That shows you where what the plate was on it before. I'll try to find a picture of the correct plate on the internet. But even at that, you're talking a guitar that nowadays you might get 150 for. You know, it's worth 250, but you got to find the right buyer. So 2 screws, they're not going to go crazy and say, I'm not buying that because there's a screw hole there and there. Like the look of this little guitar. Okay, let's get deeper into it. Now here's the big test. The electrics. Let's see what we've got here. Have we got anything? Will the pickup need to be rewound? I don't think I really need to plug it in to see if it's making noises, because it will make noises. Oh, the switch is all. Oh, I can't. No, we're not having any noise there. But that may be something to do with that. That whole thing is flicking around. That should be stagnant. So that's the first job, taking that off. Taking the whole plate off to see what's underneath. And how do I protect that chrome? Well, we'll worry about that another time. Let's get the electrics working. So what's happening? Oh, 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 oh. Very stiff. Problem with these, very stiff. You have to press down too hard, you'll crack the finger plate. Let's just see. That one's a pain. No, so's that one. I'm going to have to drill those 3 holes out. No, if I'm going to screw this up, we're going to screw it up together, and I can blame you then. I can say I was so nervous videoing that I scratched it. What I'm using is a one that's a bit big to actually take away the rough edges so that the drill doesn't catch on the rough edges. I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous. That felt good. That felt good. Yes, the little top of the screw came off. Ah! Broke my drill bit. Wasn't expecting a broken drill bit. Wasn't expecting the Spanish Inquisition. Right, let's just see. 1 off without damage. 2 off without damage. Now, are you going to be a bastard? I think it might be. Let me just use a slightly broader drill bit to get past this one. Right, I can see the white now. Let me try something here. No, maybe it's ready to pop. This is probably the most fragile one because it's right at the end. Come on, mate. You can do it. That won't come off. This is only part of it. Once I get it off, I've got to get the screw out. Look, that little bastard giving me all that trouble. Right, okay. Let's look at the electrics. You can see they're wrapped round and round. So it's quite possible that's been spun a few times. Round and round and round and round and round she goes. So there are wires off it. So okay. There's spider webs in there. Spider webs, little spider webs. So are you going to make me fight the whole way? I think you are going to make me fight the whole way to get those screws out. Remember how hard it was to get those screws out? Well, to grab that with a pair of pliers or something. Not going to happen, I don't think. Although, might as well try. Because I'm not so fussy about... No grip. No grip. No grip. So, drill it out. If it's too big a hole, then you fill it up with wood. There isn't a 1/4 of an inch of movement. There isn't a 10. I think I might. No. Even that movement's not enough to get that out. I think I'll have to just get these things sorted first and then I'll come back to them. Don't want to get frustrated and make a mistake and do something like throw the guitar out the window. I'll have a look. Oh God, what is that wood? Oh, it is mahogany. Right, okay, sorry I was letting... It is mahogany. Hence the reason the screws are in so tight. And there is a bit of corrosion on the screws too. No, that screw's giving up the ghost, has it? Yeah. Gee, we're fighting with screws this weather. Right, okay. That's a very shallow pickup. Let's just keep going and keep the fingers crossed. It's not so much the screws, it's getting that screw out to put it back in again. I may have to move the pickup slightly. But these are not playing the game either. Why do you hold your breath when you're pushing hard? Good gracious. Good golly, Miss Molly. Don't like what I heard there. It's the screwdriver that made the cracking noise. not the guitar. One screw. Going to take a break now. Get a can of Coke. So this is my conundrum. This pickup, I don't know whether it's working or not yet, but it's actually glued in, so it'll be a mess to try to take it off. Well, the solution to my conundrum, it's not a complete conundrum, is that the chrome plating is peeling off and it's just going to get worse if I clean it. So I'm going to try an experiment, because you can see it's shiny, and the fact that it can't come out of the pickup stuck in there, I'm going to take the chance that it is working okay, and I'm going to seal it with metal lacquer. I've already cleaned it as much as I can without taking anything off it. And what do I see in there? Right. So that's it, as clean as I can, and it's been acetoned as well. So what I'm hoping is going to happen, put a nice thick layer of this, my now favorite thing on it, and what I hope is going to happen, it's going to look like it's a sparkly, deliberate thing happening. And I think you can probably see the effect happening already. And I'm not worried about it going into the pickup covers, because those are actually leather, I think, or a very strong vinyl that are covering it. So what this should do is it should stop the chrome peeling off and give it a sparkly effect. Now I might need to put 2 on or 3, but it's better this than cleaning it and making a mess. So we'll see how that gets on, and maybe in about an hour I'll put another coat on it, and hopefully that will give us a nice effect, but it won't kill it. Time for coat 2. I like this bass guitar. I like the style of it. We're having a heat wave, so forgive the fan on the bench, but it's so hot. And if you could see Georgie girl lying on the ground here with her 4 feet in the air, you'd realize how hot she is. She's actually walking like an old person over the linoleum to lie on the cold floor. Anyway, I'm going to speed this up. All I'm going to do is solder back a couple of wires, but I thought I'd put it on camera. I also gave up trying to take that off, because if it's that hard to take off, then it's not going to fall off. But the one thing I need to do, the reason why I was going to take it off, is to check the earth wire. And I still may have to take it off if the earth wire is not there. So let me test it. Right. Yeah, the earth is connecting fine. So nobody gets electrocuted playing a K bass. Not here. You know, especially me. So all I'm going to do is solder this, but I'll fast forward it. Right, now I'm going to plug in the amplifier to see if we get any noise from this pickup. If we don't get any noise from the pickup, then we're in trouble. So, let's just see. Oh, okay, let's just see what we got in the way of sound. Right, here's the big crunch. We got sound. Let's see if we got tone as well. Okay. Oh, that switch is solid, so I'm going to have to work on that. Right, okay, but we're partially there. It turns now. Right, probably is my clamp that was holding it. Right, let's just see. What did I do with that there it is there. Yep, we got tone and we got volume. Happy boy, happy I is. Gonna tidy up and come back to you. Well, all I'm going to do is clean this up. And I actually think this is nitrocellulose paint, so I'm not going to do anything crazy on this. I'm just going to use a wet wipe. Now, I'm not going to use those same screws. I'm going to use new screws. I've got lots of new screws, lots of fender screws. I still have to get those out. They're still jammed in. Talk about a pain. Anyway, I forgot about that. Okay, this is boring stuff. I'm going to clean and come back to you. Now, let's put this together. Without breaking any more. Oh, this aching, breaking heart of mine, crazy over you. And I'm afraid to let you know. That's interesting. It doesn't have a washer, except for washers on the top. But if I put a washer on, then it's going to hit there, so I'm going to have to find another washer. So pause. Well, it was all going so well, but we're back to soldering again. Because I found washers. Well, I had to make some washers to get the right size, and I was just putting it back together, and I noticed the earth is missing from the jack to the switches, so I need to put it on now. You come to nosy. There's nothing here exciting for you. Let me just... Right, okay. Check all the wiring. Yeah, all the wiring's good. And right, back's breaking. I have to stop now. Right, conundrum. Everything's going well, except for those 3 screws which broke inside it, and they're sitting up a millimeter. Now I can easily put that on and move it and put a new screw in. I can feel the rocking of the thing beneath it, and I don't want it's right at the edge too, so if you put something rocking at the edge, someday it's going to split. So I've been conundruming my mind to find out how to get that down and without doing any more damage. And I have a Dremel, and it has little things like that, but can I do it on my little drill without getting the Dremel out? Because getting the Dremel out is a pain because it's packed away. So I'm going to try to do it with this. If not, I'm going to have to get the Dremel out. So here we go. I think I'm going to have to get the Dremel out because it needs the speed to burn off that metal. Okay, pause. So here we are with the Dremel. Now there's two reasons why I pack it away. Because that makes it less easy for me to get to. And why that's a good thing is that it's a fierce machine. It can do a lot of damage if you're not ultra careful. So the less you use it, the better. And secondly, I just don't have the space. So excuse the noise. And those little holes at the side are only minor little things where I'm going to put the new screws. Now I'm going to put this on. Because everything's tightened up. These are tightened up and looking handsome. Just like me. You can't go crazy and rush because you push it too far at the front and the back end will go out. So I'm moving at a fraction every way and then testing it. Yeah, that looks, that one there is, let me just use my awl. Oh, I've still got the plastic on it. My owl says there. But every one of these holes is going to have to be drilled. Because this is solid wood, I tell you. This is not mahogany as we know it. This is real mahogany from the old days when we could use real mahogany and the world was running out of mahogany. But this is a solid, and it's not that heavy. It's a solid piece of wood. Right, pause. I'm going to clean up and take control here. Bit tidier now, and I've put in a couple of screws. And I'm going to put in the final ones now. Okay, that's a nice job now. We'll get back to you in a second. Okay, nothing important. Now I have to re-drill the screw holes for this because it's moved about 3 millimeters that way. And that's going to be awkward because that means the screw hole is going to be right beside the other screw hole. Can I take that out and see it? Will that come away so I can see better? It can. So I'll use my new favorite tool to make a hole, to make a mark. Amazing what pleases small minds like that. And you see where I have to drill right beside it. I'm going to fill up those holes first before I drill. You notice I didn't put a bit of tape on. There's a deliberate reason for that, you know. Pure, unadulterated laziness. Right now, I want to find some nice screws because that screw's screwed up. So pause till I go and find some screws. Maybe I might have to use black screws, which wouldn't be a lot of harm because it matches with the rest. Let's just see. You know, it's a hexagon screw. That's a hexagon screw. But yeah, okay. Okay. Let's just use the hexagon screws. and they look okay. That's the main thing. Now, where is, it's not a, I don't believe it's an Allen key jobby, but let's see. Just about. Yeah, it's going to have to be a hexagon screw. Pause. Well, that's done. I bought myself a nice kit of these special locking different types of heads. Use them for Mac computers a lot, or iPhones, when I was fixing an iPhone for a friend. So what I'm going to do now, I put that on, but with the special caps on. I'm going to put the chrome thing on. I'll give it a bit of a clean first, polish, and put the chrome thing on. The chrome thing, yes, right, okay, let's have a look at the chrome thing before I start complaining. The chrome thing looks a bit big, right? But it actually works well with it, doesn't it? It does. Tell me it does. Right, okay. The only problem with the chrome thing is, the way it is, it's going to have to be unscrewed every time you change the strings. So, but that's just life. I think that's what you're going to have to do every time. So I tell you what, I've talked myself out of that. I'm going to do the neck next, and then I'll put the strings on, and then I'll put the chrome plate on. And my straight edge tells me that, yeah, there's an underbow. That's 25 thou, and it's more than that. So, truss rod time, tighten. And can you see that truss rod? That's one of those old-fashioned truss rods. Let me just go up a notch with this other screwdriver. I can feel resistance there, quite a bit of resistance. But I'm not noticing any difference. Let me go the other way, because I don't want to force anything. Remember, I did say at the beginning that this is, yeah, it's definitely going the wrong way. Yeah. I did say at the beginning that this is one of these issues with the K guitars, that the truss rod can't take it. And they often cause problems. Let's just try that again. I'm not noticing any difference. I'd like something stronger than my screwdriver, so is it? Yeah. Right, okay. Because I have to give it some welly. Oh God, that's not doing it. That's not doing it. Oh, just like a dead. It's like dead. Nothing. I don't think anything's happening. Not going. Still not happy. Not worried about breaking the Allen key. But oh, gone past something. something happened there. And I think what's gone past is that the truss rod has given up the ghost. Yeah, that's what the problem is with this. The truss rod is just turning now. Just try it again, just in case there's anything we can do with it. No. It's turning, but is it doing anything? No, it's going loose on me now. So, age-old problem with the K guitars. No. It's going to be playable, but as the weight of the strings go on, that's going to push down more. Now that this truss rod, the truss rod's onto the fretboard. And you know something? I think what I'm seeing too, if you look there, see the crack? I think the truss rod is pushing through there. Not good. Not good. Going so well too. I'm going to have to put the strings on and see how we get along and see what that does for the neck before I even clean the neck, because I hope I don't have to put a new truss rod on, because that binding is going to be lost whenever I have to heat the fretboard and take it off. But I'm pretty sure that's what's happened here. Yeah, the midway point would be about those frets, so it was coming up, and then the truss rod gave up the ghost. Well. The nut is moving in and out still. I'm going to take it to somewhere where there's a bit of tension, just about there, and then when I put the strings on, so perhaps maybe that tension will hold the strings. So let's put the strings on, or at least a couple of the strings anyway. Let's see what the problem is. Can you hear the disappointment in my voice? Because this was all going so nicely. Let's just put them on and see what the problem is. Had that problem before, but it was brought to me as a faulty truss rod. It's a bit it's much the same sort of issue as the Music Man bass that I had. Truss rods takes an awful lot of strain. So let's put the fattest one on. Georgie girl I don't think would be that interested in these ones. These strings. Yeah. Cut the strings. As you can see, I'm talking to myself because I see a very, very wide gap. It literally is a gap that you can put your finger underneath. So the neck's going to have to come off first. So I can put a shim in shim might help fix this guitar a little bit, but truss rod can be sometimes fatal. It's got a date on it. Let's have a look at the date. It's difficult to read. It says 6/4/12/19. So could that be 19th of December 1964? Not sure about that. That feels too old for this guitar. You tell me what you feel you think you see there. 6/4/12/29 for the head. Is that the 29th of the 12th, 1964? Didn't know it would be as old as that. I knew it would be old. Truss rod. Yeah. Oh, fretboard has to come off. Okay, I'm going to stop now because now that I know it's off, I can put frets in and make up for it. I'm going to do some research on the truss rod. Right. On the internet, I've already done this, by the way. It says if you loosen this and work it back and forth, it might go back into the nut again. But the nut sits at that end and the plate sits there, and the plate is supposed to press up against the truss rod and fit inside this nut. But that's not happening. And I've tried several ways. But what I've got a little bit of tension on it, and so the tension might help. But the neck is still got some major underbow on it. Well, we'll have to get this playable somehow. I've got a feeling it's going to be shims and luck. Well, I don't really think luck's going to be anything to do with it. I think it's going to be shims. But when you put the pressure on and there's no truss rod, we'll see. These things are selling for 150, 200 pounds. In really good condition, you get 300 pounds for them. But to buy a truss rod and take all that off, might be able to do it. But I do notice this, now that I'm looking, there's a crack up there, down there, and there's the crack here. The truss rod must have come up and out. Okay, we're back again. I had to put a shim under there, and what I'm going to, it's still roasting hot, by the way, so forgive the noise. I'm going to put the strings on to see what happens. See what the neck does, and I'll try to let you see as much as I can of where the neck is. At the moment you probably can see the strings are parallel with the neck, but fortunately I've got lots of room down there to raise them, so we'll see what happens when I put tension on. Action is not good. It's playable, but the action's not good. Let me sit on this and see what I think tomorrow. It's sad. So sad. It's a sad, sad situation. The guitar is looking wonderful, but the truss rod is broken in it. And I'll show you a picture of the truss rod embedded in this screen. And the nut should fit into the circular piece of metal, and it looks like either the nut has been worn away or the metal has been worn away and doesn't fit in anymore. Now, that could be fixed if I took off the neck, even though there's binding on the edges, which I would hate to lose. But that can't be done, because if you look closely, there's a split on the fretboard going right up to there, and there's also a split on the fretboard going right onto there. Now, why do you think that that's going to cause the problem? Because the truss rod is pressing up against the fretboard to get, thank you Georgie girl. The truss rod sits like that below the fretboard, and when it needs to have the neck straightened, it presses up against the fretboard. And what this guitar would need, but with these heavy strings, the truss rod needs to be wound up a fair amount, and that would split the fretboard right down the middle. And the more you did it, the worse it would get. So this guitar is got very high action. It looks gorgeous if Georgie Burgirl's bum would get out of the way. But there's nothing we can do for it. There's nothing we can do for it unless we replace the fretboard or take out the truss rod, and there's no guarantee that I can fix the truss rod without a whole lot of hassle. And this guitar is just not worth it as far as monetary concerns is concerned, and also my time involved. I would like to do it, but if I take that neck off, I don't know what I'm going to find underneath it. So I think the best thing to do is just use this and sell it to someone and let them know it's a sort of the bass guitar for a learner, because it's very playable up there. So that is my analysis of the situation. Dr. Lennon over and out. Well, with that previous clip in mind, I still have to clean up the frets, and I still have to clean up the head. And once that's all done, I'll play a little tune for you on the bass guitar, just to let you hear it. Okay. Can you see the bulge on the end of the binding the whole way down? There's a bulge. Now that would be unusual. You can see it probably there mostly. There's a lump there. I would assume that binding was perfectly flat coming out of the factory, but the wood has dried out so much over the years. The frets stay the same width, but the wood shrinks so much, and it is such a dry neck that that's probably what added to the whole thing losing the cohesion of the wood. I don't know what kind of wood that is. I don't think it's rosewood, but you can see there the crack again. I watched a video of Baumgarten restoration, and it was a 4-part video, and they are restoring this huge painting, and it had cracks and bubbles and splits and everything on it, and it's only their latest video. And on the 3rd part they're working away at the video, and they noticed it said on it stretcher. It said on the back. Now all oil paintings have a stretcher on it, but they looked at it more closely and they found out it actually didn't say stretcher, it said streecher. Streecher, S-T-R-E-E-T. Now that set alarm bells running in their heads, because they knew that the painter Streecher is a copying artist. He just copies grandmasters. So they looked it up, and it turns out it's pretty much a valueless painting that the owner had paid a lot of money for, but he didn't know it was a Streecher. He thought it was another famous artist. But this is not. It's their attitude, their mood changed, just like my attitude and mood changed when I noticed that this guitar had a broken truss rod. Everything was going well, and it was going well. It's not an antique painting. It's not worth hundreds of thousands. But your mood changes. You're saying, "Ah, for goodness sake, I can't get it the way I want it," and it's such a shame for the guitar and all that. So perhaps maybe the next owner might say, let's get it done. Or I might just say, let's let somebody learn the bass on it, because you can still learn a bass guitar on this. It's playing fine. Right, okay, so my next job is to put the cover on, and I had some considerations about this cover. I was going to put in, I don't have them, I'd have to order them. Plug a hole in there and put in a thing that you screw in a screw to, but I've changed my mind on that now that I see that I don't think there's much point in spending a lot of money on this. So I'm going to drill those and put some quality screws in just about there. That'll hide most of the damage, and if people want to change the strings, I'll make sure the screws are good and they come in and out properly. So I'm going to do that now. It just means people will have to unscrew this every time they want to change strings. But how often do you change bass strings? It's not, this is the other thought that I had in my head. You don't change bass strings often unless you're a professional player. So it's not going to take an awful long time to, these strings will probably last the rest of whatever lifetime this guitar has. But I'll do what I can to put a good screw in there. I'm going to have to bend that down a little bit. Just brute force, just to take it down a little bit. Okay, coming down the final stretch. I've marked out where the depth of the hole is, and I found 2 screws that are fine. Right, I'm going to tune it up now, but I'm not going to make you suffer by watching it tuned up. I'm going to, hold on, it drops things on the floor. I'm going to tune it up off camera, clean up this thing, and when I come back, I'll just let you hear a few little boom, 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 booms. I can't play anything on a bass, so all you're going to hear is the sound of it working. I think. Well, there she is, in tune. New strings, wound strings, take a long time to get in tune. Also the neck will give away to a certain degree, so it'll be hard to stay in tune until the strings get set up. Okay, it's going home to its future, whatever that future is. Say goodbye to it. Say goodbye, okay. Bye 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 bye.